The late season snowstorm has come and gone. It brought as much as 31 inches to Estes Park and just 2.5 inches in Greeley. The heavy, wet snow brought down a bunch of trees, like this one in Littleton. It also knocked out power to tens of thousands of customers. Xcel says it's turned the lights back on for more than 75,000 customers since midnight, but some may be in the dark until tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Kyle Clark. So the winter storm warning has expired on us. The storm's moved out, just been replaced by a freeze warning. So let's get right to Kathy Sabin and the details on that.
Hi there. We have clear skies, light winds, and snow cover out there for many areas. So good radiational cooling means temperatures are going to drop like a rock. We didn't warm out of the 30s today, and we're headed for the mid-20s tonight. So weather impact alert has been issued through 8 a.m. because we're under a freeze warning after a day with almost 6 inches of snow in Denver, one of the biggest May snowstorms we've seen in years. We saw anywhere from 12 inches in the Evergreen area to 10 in the King Carroll area, 8 in Parker. A wonderful storm with a lot of water content. And now it's all about the temperature trend, which is down. Now, not everybody's going to be in the hard freeze area. We have a little bit of a downsloping component with the wind, so those of you along the foothills may actually stay right about 30. All of the moisture moving out with our storm system. So freeze warning, we're under that for now, all the way through 8 o'clock in the morning for temperatures 21 to 29 degrees. So cover plants, protect plants and pipes tonight just to be on the safe side. Quick warm up tomorrow when the sun comes out. We are headed for the 60s and then the 70s. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk in detail about the timing and impact of the overnight freeze warning in just a bit.
For a bunch of people around the Denver metro area, today was less about shoveling snow. Didn't really have to do that. You were just picking up tree pieces all over.
Yeah, and looking up saying, I hope it doesn't
What's next?
go. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us with more on how that cleanup might take a few days. Ria?
Yeah, because of the heavy wet snow and leaves already growing on many of the trees, it brought down limbs like these all across the Denver metro. So we spoke with the people in charge of cleaning all of it up. The snow may be over, but the cleanup across Denver is just getting started.
Yeah, there's quite a big trunks in there.
Jesus Estrada
Yeah.
spent the day dealing with the storm's aftermath.
Yeah, it was quite a bit, actually. It took like 4 hours maybe, just cleaning up. Some were on the road, some on top of cars.
Jesus was one of many at the Cherry Creek Recycling Center.
We've probably gotten 30, 40 cars coming today with down branches.
Nina Waysdorf works with the city. She says they were ready for this.
We take branches and other yard debris all year round, but of course, whenever we have one of these storms where we get a lot of branches, we see, an influx.
For our location servicing just the southeast corner of Denver, we probably got about 50, 60 calls related.
Jay Judd,
But I'm not a meteorologist, so.
is an arborist, though.
It's been a pretty crazy day, for sure.
He can explain why all these limbs were coming down.
Heavy wet snow with trees with leaves equals broken limbs.
By his math, their work is far from over.
Probably during the weekend when the snow is melting, people are in their yards, kind of enjoying the warm weather again. I think people are going to start noticing a lot more broken in the trees.
Nina with the city says they're prepared for that too.
Once the storm kind of clears out and people are assessing all the branches, we're probably going to have a busy weekend.
I guess it's Mother Nature, right? It happens.
Even though a lot of the snow has melted, the arborist we spoke with said it's important to look up around where you're parking and even on your property to see if there are any broken branches up above. So look up, be safe, and live in Denver, Ria Jha, 9 News.
More than 130 schools and businesses called a snow day today, including Denver Public Schools. That district's leaders told us the decision came early before 7 last night as they looked at a couple of factors, like did they think the roads would be safe? Could staff get the sidewalks and parking lots cleared?
Well, we hear that, and we also hear people concerned for safety for their students on the bus, for their students who walk to school. So we hear all that. That's all a part of it.
Now, believe it or not every kid was happy about the snow day. We talked to some high schoolers from East who are supposed to take big tests today.
I had a schedule, and I was mentally prepared for them, and then the schedule gets shifted, and I have a really hard time adjusting to the shifts. So I was not happy about the change.
Today was the first DPS snow day since late 2024. Those students from East will just take their tests at a later date. With temperatures in the 20s expected tomorrow, the roads could actually be tougher then than they were today, but as of now, haven't heard of any school cancellations.
Say what you will about the Rockies.
And I will.
Their grounds crew, though, one of the best to ever do it.
Tremendous.
We saw them start to clear off that snow from Coors Field last night, and that continued well into today. They piled it up in their back parking lot, let the sun do the rest of the work, and now it's looking good as new. Last night's game against the Mets was snowed out. Tonight's was put back several hours, and it won't break a temperature record, but it's darn cold out there.
Broke a personal temperature record
Yes,
for a
it
lot
did.
of people at a Rockies
Yes.
game, I'm sure. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez is out there after talking to folks who were not afraid of the freeze warning. Easy for me to say with a warm mouth inside, Colton.
Yeah, Kyle, but you know what? I wouldn't trade this night for the world. But the one problem I do have is I did not see a single hot dog stand anywhere around Coors Field. Even with a lighter crowd going into the ballpark tonight, still completely unacceptable. But for the fans that did show up tonight, they say when it comes to cold weather, this is kind of the way it has to go in May. As Denver begins to thaw out, the chances of another spring storm canceling a Rockies home game have already struck out.
Exactly.
Billy and Ed drove up from Colorado Springs yesterday.
We were supposed to go to the Mets game last night, the one that got canceled. Weren't able to extend our Airbnb another night for what we were looking for, so we kind of decided to camp out in the parking lot and just kind of hang out for a bit.
Fans gearing up for Game 2 against the New York Mets spent little time deciding whether the cold weather would ruin another day at the ballpark.
I love it because I don't really like hot weather, and also we didn't really have a winter, so I'm all here for it. And I have a sort of purple jacket I got to wear to the game, so I'm pretty excited about that.
It's not that bad if you wear enough underlayers.
Rockies faithful know it's not a complete season without a few cold days at Coors Field. At 23 degrees, the record for the coldest home game was set back in 2013 against the Braves. The second coldest, also against Atlanta in 2018 at 27 degrees. And a 28-degree game against the Mets in 2013 rounds out the top three.
When we were looking at all the weather updates, and he was saying, oh, the sun's supposed to come out by 2 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, good luck with that one.
3 years ago, I think it was, there was the Mets were out here. And there was a blizzard, and a Friday night game was canceled.
So, despite a cold start to this series,
So I think it's just going to get cold when the sun goes down.
fans are once again feeling warm and fuzzy about baseball.
No, we're optimistic. We're ready to go out and have a good time at the ballpark.
Love baseball.
Now, the makeup game for Tuesday is scheduled for tomorrow, and guess what? It's supposed to be a little bit warmer outside. Who knows? Maybe they'll even send me out here for that warmer game. Live outside Coors Field, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
You need a nice day, Colton, out there. You can stay up to date on the weather. Maybe next time you go to the game, everything in the aftermath of the storm on the 9 News app. You can stream us anytime by scanning the QR code on your screen. Traffic is moving again in western Colorado, where a passenger train hit a tanker truck that was on the tracks, and that led to a derailment just before 10 this morning between Silt and Rifle. Fire officials say that truck was carrying hot asphalt tar. The truck driver was taken to the hospital to be checked out. None of the more than 300 passengers and staff members on board the train were hurt. Buses helped them get on their way. The EPA says that they didn't get involved because none of the oil was released into the water. Colorado State Patrol is investigating.
Tomorrow, the man accused of killing an 82-year-old woman and injuring about a dozen other people in the anti-Semitic firebombing attack in Boulder is expected to plead guilty to state charges. The crime he's accused of is one of thousands of acts of hate recorded across the U.S. last year. Today, the Anti-Defamation League released its annual tracking of anti-Semitic incidents. Colorado ranked 10th among states for reports of anti-Jewish hate. There were 7 assaults here, 82 reported incidences of vandalism, 78 cases of harassment, everything from people throwing rocks through the door of a synagogue to someone writing Jew on the outside of a student's dorm at CU Boulder. 167 incidents in Colorado in total.
To say 167 can sound big or small to some people, but behind every one of them is a family who now has to deal with the repercussions of that and their feelings of personal safety.
While the total number of incidents fell 40% from the record high in 2024, the 167 reported incidents in Colorado last year was the third highest on record.
President Trump's Justice Department is suing Colorado over the state's years-old ban on high-capacity magazines. The DOJ filed the lawsuit a day after suing Denver for the city's assault weapons ban that's been on the books since 1989. The Justice Department argues that the laws violate the Second Amendment right to bear arms. The state law was passed in 2013 in response to the Aurora movie theater mass shooting the year before. The DOJ argues Colorado's ban on magazines that hold more than 15 rounds effectively outlaws standard magazines used in many popular guns. The Colorado Supreme Court unanimously upheld the law in 2020. Officials at both the state and the city levels say they will fight the lawsuits in court.
The city of Lafayette is putting off a decision on whether to permanently end coffin burials at their historic cemetery. Last year, city staff uncovered human remains in a plot at the Lafayette Cemetery, a plot they thought was unused. The state archaeologists later confirmed there are overlapping burial sites and there are unmarked remains there. So as a result, the city put a halt to coffin burials. That's been since last November. Last night, City Council was scheduled to vote on whether to permanently stop new coffin burials. But there were concerns that the families impacted didn't have enough time to provide input.
I'm hearing when we try to dig to bury deceased Lafayette residents, we hit another casket almost every time.
Or we're digging up human remains.
I take the point. I just want us to be really clear about that because I think in the verbiage and specificity, we are losing the main thing, which is we don't want to disturb other people's families.
Correct.
If the Lafayette City Council does permanently end coffin burials, they'll give plot owners three options. They can have ashes buried there, they can exchange their plot for another one at the Coal Creek Cemetery, or sell the plot back for $1,500.